Hello and welcome back to the farm. Oh, we're not at the farm. Hello and welcome to Runnings. Yeah, this is my local Runnings here in my town, and thanks to some of the comments that I've received about how best to deal with a lot of those tall weeds out on the side road of my property, I came here to get a replacement head to my Stihl weed whacker. I ended up with this universal head called a GrassGator lock and load, and I bought a set of replacement blades as well. So in this video, we're going to go through the process of removing the head of the Stihl, replacing it with this universal head, and seeing how it works. Now, I really had no preference when I went to Runnings to look for a replacement head, other than the fact that it needed to fit my particular weed whacker, it needed to be heavy duty, and it had to have serrated style blades. And this sort of fit the bill. This head, along with the replacement blades, was about $29. So it definitely didn't break the bank. Now, as a universal accessory, it's meant to fit a variety of weed whackers, and it comes with a whole bunch of accessories that help it to attach to the different models. I don't know if we're going to need all of this stuff, but we're definitely going to check it out. Now, disassembling and then removing the head of the Stihl is fairly simple. There's two gray clips on either side of the head that remove the retention clip, and then the spool comes out, and finally the spring. Now, what you have to do to remove the head is insert a long, thin metal rod. I used a very thin screwdriver into, there's a hole on the side of the head, and if you spin the head while you put that screwdriver down into the hole, you can feel it catch and hold. If you unscrew it, it comes off. And then finally there's a geared backer plate. Now remember, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty doesn't apply here. You actually have to unscrew the head in reverse. One of the universal pieces that came with this kit was a plastic standoff. And while I didn't actually need the standoff, I did need a spacer, or I thought I did anyway. So I cut off a piece of that standoff into a probably 1/4 inch thick plastic ring, and I put it back into the housing. I put the geared cap on it. There's a washer that comes with the kit. And then all you have to do is place the appropriately sized nut, it comes with several, into a sized opening in the head, and then you screw the head on. Remember, in this case, it's lefty-tighty. To get this all the way tight, you have to reinsert that small screwdriver into the hole in the head housing, and then it will stop the shaft from spinning, and you can tighten up the head. Once tightened down, the head should spin freely, the blades should also spin freely, and then it's time for a test. Fire it up and let's see if it works. I've never used one of these before, but I guess we can call that a success. Now recall, I did buy an extra pack of blades. I don't know how quickly these blades will be consumed or if they're going to break. Only time will tell. But it seems like this is a good time to head up to the farm and try and tackle some of those weeds on the other side of the ditch, on the side road that leads to the cleared acreage. Okay, so first impressions, having never used a blade head system before on a weed whacker. I don't really know what I was expecting, but the overall effect of these blades is very similar to the string. It doesn't really cut through any of the very small saplings or the really thick weeds any easier than the string cut through them. I was kind of expecting more of a blade-like action, but since they do sell actual metal blades that go on here, I guess my expectation was a little bit wrong. I will say that working with this tool, I don't have to worry about changing the line. There's no line to consume. I also don't have to worry about hitting the head on the ground to advance the string, because there's no string, so the string doesn't wear out. I guess the benefit of this is that you can just keep going. As long as those blades stay on the head, you can just keep clearing, and that's pretty cool. One problem that I did run into was with balance and vibration. If you notice the slowed down video, you could notice that head is wobbling around quite a bit. And I think that has to do with that plastic spacer that I put between the head housing and that retention cap. At fast speeds and sustained fast speeds, I think that has thrown off the centering of the head on the shaft. So I am going to have to go back and most likely take out that spacer and try this again. In the end though, this tool was a success. I was able to clear all the brush on the second half of that road after the ditch, and I made it straight through to the clearing. I was able to clear out all of the weeds, all of the really thin saplings, and whatever low-lying grass or shrubbery was there. I will say that in addition to the vibration issue, losing blades makes this whole assembly vibrate even worse. With 3 blades on there, it's fairly well balanced, but if you go down to 2 or even 1 blade, it's almost unmanageable, the level of vibration that you feel in your hands. But as you can see here, even if it was only able to do this one job and then I had to throw it out, it was able to get through. And the results are halfway decent. I really didn't realize that there were quite so many down trees and logs and branches and all sorts of debris in the path until I was actually able to clear it out, and now I just have to get rid of all that stuff. So I would call this a success for $29-ish. Watching this video though, it really makes me want to get the bulldozer in here and properly strip this down to dirt. Someday I'm going to have to get on that bridge. I don't think that's going to be a project for this season though. It is satisfying though to be on this road and look from end to end and see a direct path of where this road should be. That's really cool. I like that kind of progress. Alright, so I did go through several blades on this project. I think I went through 4 blades. I knew that the blades were gone because the unit really started vibrating. On this particular head, you simply have to push a button and spin the lower half of the head, and it exposes the studs that these blades fit onto, and then it rotates back into place. Overall, I think they stayed on fairly well, except when I hit logs or, hard surfaces. I will say though, looking at this head, it does look a little wonky. One side is a little bit more spaced. I did lose the button cover. I really don't know how well this thing will hold up long term. With that project behind me though, I had just enough time to try and tackle another lingering problem here on the farm, and that is locating the winch cable that has been permanently attached to a couple trees that I pulled down for probably the last 4 weeks. If you recall, when I pulled the trees down, the winch cable tightened down so hard onto the trees I couldn't get them off, and I ended up dragging them behind the bulldozer a little ways to try and get them out of the area where they came down, and that ended up pulling the winch cable off of the winch on the bulldozer. So I really need to free up this cable and the hook that's attached to it, and it's just on here so tight it's buried itself probably a ½ inch down into the wood of these trees. This Echo chainsaw continues to prove itself here on the farm. It's turned out to be just an exceptional piece of equipment, and one that I rely on time and time again. It seems very reliable, it starts right up, it's super low maintenance, it still has its factory sharp edge, and I've been able to use it on multiple projects so far, mostly cutting down trees, but even things like what you see here. With just a few cuts, I was able to loosen up the grouping of trees that the winch cable was wrapped around. I was able to free the cable, unloop the end, retrieve the hook, and I pulled the cable clear. I was also able to find the other end of the winch cable that came off of the bulldozer. I moved it to a spot where I knew where it would be, and hopefully this coming weekend I could come back to the farm and finally get this rewound onto the winch spool on the back of the bulldozer. As usual, progress on the farm continues, as it will deep into the fall season. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.